welcome to our 115th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about Gutenberg Releases 20.2, 0.3, and 0.4, and a little bit of WordPress 6.8 and WordCamp Asia. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times, and a WordPress developer advocate working for Automatic, and still recovering from my cold that I brought back from Manila. And today I'm happy to get to chat again with Jessica Lyschik, front-end developer at Grade and also core contributor to the WordPress open source project. We both just returned from WordCamp Asia. Hello, Jessica. How are you today? How is your jet lag?
Hey, thanks for having me. I think the jet lag is by now done, I would say. So I'm back to the European time zone, but I also caught a bug after returning and had to take off a couple days to get better. But by now it's like another week has passed. I've been working normally and yeah, I'm back to normal and preparing for the next event next week, which is CloudFest.
You're going to CloudFest. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to cancel my participation in CloudFest because I have a bum knee. And my doctor said, well, going to another Congress, where you run around like crazy from one thing to the next, it's probably not conducive to healing that bum knee. It sucks at one point, but on the other hand, okay, I don't have to travel. It's another, I can concentrate on some of the work again.
And get enough sleep, which is something you do not get on conferences and stuff like that.
Well, especially CloudFest. I think every evening there's a festival, or a party or something.
You can actually make it like work. I do it the same on WordCamps. It's the same for me. So it's just when you are deciding where do you want to go, maybe not just be there as the first person and leave as the last person, but come late, leave early, and then just try to make it work for you. And it's of course different for everyone. Some people are just like, they want to be everywhere and they need to go everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm more like, I need some breaks in between because otherwise that's not going to work.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. However, sometimes I'm just so present in the moment, in the conversation, that I kind of really lose track of time. And then, these are people I've never going to see for the next year or so, or maybe two. So that's kind of, at least that was at WordCamp Asia, where you only go to that particular family reunion, and almost feels like that once a year, and you need to catch up on what happened with other people. And there were so many things, good things to happen. So what are your takeaways from WordCamp Asia? Do you have anything that will say, okay, that was very surprising, interesting, new?
So it has been my first time to the Philippines. I don't know about you, but I think it has been a very interesting couple days there in Manila. I did not get to see so much about Manila itself, unfortunately. The jet lag coming to Manila also hit me very hard. So the day I had planned to do something, go out somewhere, did not happen. So I saw the Mall of Asia, which was like gigantic mall where you could get your daily steps in very easily and not walk around the same circle for 10 times or something like that. What I found very interesting was the food. I think the food was pretty good there. There was a lot of variety. We had a lot of Filipino food during the conference days, which I found pretty amazing. There's a lot of seafood and fish in there. I'm not such a fan of seafood, but I tried the other things and they were all pretty good. So I did not have anything that I didn't like. So
yeah, I was really not surprised, but it was quite unusual that the vegetarian as well as the vegan options are so particularly tasteful and I had a big variety there. And I got to chat with Dan, who is a former chef who was on the organizing team and responsible for all the food. And he just has such a passion for the Filipino food and knows everybody in Manila to kind of pick the right caterer for the event. So it was really interesting, I also get to talk with a lot of automaticians, but they all had the same T-shirt on. So all of a sudden I was recognizing, my coworkers. So, and we don't get to see each other during the RIA, especially in other teams. Yeah, so much. So it was really interesting for me. Yeah, I like to hang out at the Do the Woo booth. Yeah, Bob had, I think he started that last year in WordCamp Europe, that he is actually a sponsor and has a spot in the sponsor hall where people can hang out. And he invites his co-hosts to spend an hour there, or other people that he collaborates with, to just spend an hour there. So they can also say to their friends, okay, if you want to talk to me, I'm at that hour at the Do the Woo booth.
Oh, nice.
That was kind of an interesting experience, yeah. So I did that, yeah. And I was surprised how many people were actually in my talk, because such a niche topic, which was about playground and how to create demos with blueprints. And being the last session before Matt's keynote and a Q&A, yeah, I thought maybe there are not going to be a whole lot of people in that talk, but I was surprised. There were at least 50 or 60 people there, yeah. So it was cool.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I was there too, I have to say.
Right.
I was at the very far back, so yeah, but it was quite interesting to like go back and see, okay, I already know what blueprints are, so it's not that big of a deal, but like going into the details again, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I forgot this. Oh, okay. So it was a
good.
very good thing.
Yeah, good. So it was something for beginners, for the intermediate, and for the advanced. I was hoping about that. We will have at WordCamp Europe. Oh, I'm not saying that. It's not out yet. But yeah, announcements will come.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good speed build as well with Nick.
Yes.
And that was a lot of fun. Nick tried to tackle the website with AI, or at least the top part with the slider with AI. Unfortunately, people said I won. I think Nick did also a great job. I felt a bit sad. Everyone's clapping for me and cheering for me more than for Nick. It was like a bit disappointing. It's like he tried. Like I would have never tried this with AI, because I do not have the patience in 30 minutes to create something with AI. So I decided just to go, okay, do the normal stuff, just build some blocks, build some patterns there and do it. But it was a lot of fun, and it was great to see that afterwards Nick also tried to not fix it, but further enhance it to make it an actual usable block. So that was pretty cool to see. He showed me the demo the next day. That was very nice.
And I think he blogged about it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so I'm going to share that link in the show notes when I find it fast. Yes, speed build carousel block. Yeah, because people are always asking for carousel blocks. Why isn't that in the community? So I'm going to put it in a community contributions. You'll find it in the show notes. I think the two, you saying, okay, I go back to what I know, what is fast, and what I know how to accomplish. And then the other approach was that, well, let's, under pressure, do something new. But it's also how do you approach learning new things? And sometimes you say, okay, I'm not gonna learn it because I need to get my stuff done, and I know how to do this, and I get it done. Yeah. When you learn new things, your task becomes more as an inspiration rather than the success, because you might not end up accomplishing your task with the new thing, because of course you're in a learning mode. You need to learn a lot. So I compare that with my first experience with the spreadsheet on computer. Multiplan was that. So I'm dating myself, but yeah, it was in the early 90s. Multiplan was even ahead of Excel for Microsoft. I had a big spreadsheet from the accountant, and I said, oh, that should be much easier to be done in a spreadsheet on a computer. So I spent all day, or all night actually, learning how to do this and put the spreadsheet in. But of course, it took me 6 or 8 hours, yeah. And if I would have done it just with a calculator, I would have calculated the whole spreadsheet probably in two hours or something like that. Yeah. So It's not how long it takes to do something the first time when you learn this. It's how long it takes when you do it a second time, because you need to discard the first time most of the time. And I found that a lot of people who learn block development, what took me a half an hour with shortcode took me 3 days in doing it as a block. Yeah, I said, yeah, that's the first time you learn of things. Yeah, of course it takes longer. Of course it takes you all kind of changing your brain into the new paradigm. But how long does it take the second time around? Yeah, is it faster or is it better? Anyway, this is the philosophical Birgit in a horsey voice. Let's go back. So we have, WordCamp Asia. It was the first time for me in Manila. And I actually planned a couple of days, not a couple, a few days, 4 days, do some sightseeing. So I went to the historic sites of the Spanish occupation. I saw the monument for the atrocities that happened in the Second World War. And I learned about the current contemporary arts in 2 art museums. And I went downtown to the new business district there with a nice park and shops left and right on the street. It's a pedestrian area. It's beautifully done. And I also discovered a few street art that were purposefully put on that place as well. So that was quite interesting. Of course, I overdid it and I got my bum knee from there. So yeah, it was a little painful then going on the conference and going in the venue was quite vast. Yeah, I found there was actually
You had to walk a
event there.
lot.
Yeah, you had to walk a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I found all the escalators, so that was good. I didn't have to do stairs so much. But yeah, it was a walk a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I like the automatic booth was really big, but there was other, hosting was really big. The usual. I also saw Mark Westgard, this WS Forms, who is on every flagship and shows off his plugin. I have to think really hard to kind of get back to that because there's the whole week, 2 weeks after that already took over my life. Which brings us back to, okay, let's record that rest of the show. So we had a few releases. So on the developer blog, Roberto Cascaros published an article on customizing WordPress embeds to match your theme. And I think that's very interesting to kind of an approach to make sure that all the embeds that you use are actually matching your theme and you don't use it out of the box. So he has some nice examples in there and some great code snippets and how to do all that. So it's definitely something to go back to make a better theme or a better site view for that.
Yeah, I think it's like a nice finishing touch when you're creating a new website that really embraces embeds. So I didn't know about this, to be honest. So I just saw it today. And I think it's really great. It's like, it's not something super big, but when you have a brand new website and have put so many thoughts and hours into the design, and then there comes this embed that just looks like it's not meant to be on this website, then I think this is a great example of how, tweaking the styles essentially can make an embed also look like it's part of the website and not just some part of default WordPress that just pops up somewhere.
Yeah, that hasn't gotten a whole lot of love. Yeah. So he shows this. For instance, one example is that out of the box, the featured image of a post that you embed has some border around, and he just shows you how to make that image kind of go all the way to the corners. Yeah, that's such a small little detail, but it shows the attention to detail. And when you have all your cards that you have, your postcards, in the query loop, all kind of having the same design, and all of a sudden the embed doesn't, it really stands out. Yeah, it doesn't. And it also distracts the reader from, why is this different? What have I haven't seen yet? Yeah, so it has some nice little features on how to change things. Yeah, some great sailing pictures here. Yeah, so take a look at that and spruce up your your site with some of the little things and big things. All right, so now we come to Gutenberg 20.2 that was released in January, to be
End of
exact.
January, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of start out with what we are talking about?
Yeah. So this was one of the two. I think I did the What's
Release
New in
post, yeah.
Gutenberg blog post and this one. So yeah, this wasn't such a big release. It was rather small compared to the previous ones. Also, it was combined with, I think, the
21, yeah. And we talked about
20.1 release. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there isn't that much going on in this release. It's like rather smaller bug fixes and some polishing overall.
Mhm.
And I think one of the interesting things was that you can now have the post content. In the post content, you can now define the heading colors, like on a more global level. I think this was also a highlight from my blog post when I remember correctly.
Mhm. Yeah, I really like that you can now have the details block be more like an accordion with a name attribute. So it's not in the UI, but you can do it in the it's in the UI, but you have to go to the advanced section to give
Oh, okay.
to give it all, to get this all done. It's not for someone who doesn't know what to do, kind of thing. Yeah, it's not intuitive for site builders, so you need to give it a block name so it shows up as a summary. A block
Oh,
name,
so when you
or
give
the
it,
name
when you,
attribute. Sorry, yeah. You need to give it a name attribute in the advanced section, so the CSS that is built knows, okay, this is all one section, and once one is opened, the other ones are closed. So it kind of has a accordion package. Yeah.
yeah, so they all need to have the same name in this name tag. So then it automatically brings this only one of these sections is open. Okay, got it. Yeah. Apparently I missed that one,
Don't worry.
but it's okay. Now we talked about it.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's what we're here for. two eyes see more than one. Four eyes see more than two. Is that?
definitely.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out that the WP-Env local development tool now has WP My Admin support as well as multi-site support. It had it before, but now it's also documented. So you know how to use it. That's why I wanted to point it out.
Oh, I didn't know that
Because,
had this. You had this PHP My Admin in the WP-Env.
yeah,
I'm not using PHP. We are so confused. I'm not using WP-Env multi-site or WP-Env at all.
WP-Env. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's when you're working on Gutenberg, on your Gutenberg, yeah, something you can do just WP-Env, and it kind of spins up a local WordPress instance with that particular folder. It also supports multi-site that came with 20.2. So yeah, you're right. There were quite a few bug fixes in there, and some polish in terms of previews, and also, some panel changes that have been in the last few Gutenberg releases, and also for the ones for next. Yeah, that's a refactor of things. Yeah, it was 20.2. I don't think there's anything else.
It's a bit tricky with the numbers of 20.
Yeah, God.
In the brains of WordPress people.
Yeah. So that brings us to 20.3, which was released just 2 weeks ago.
We were all hanging out in Manila.
Well, it was actually before, or right on February 18th that it was released. Yes, we were all hanging out already on travel, on planes. Yeah. My plane ride was, so it was 12 hours to Singapore, and then there's another 3.5 hours from Singapore to Manila.
Oh, I did the same route. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of 15 hours flight, but then you have to be 2 or 3 hours earlier at the airport. You have a layover in Singapore, and then you have to transfer from the airport to the hotel. And
yeah, I think I calculated something like 23, 24-ish hours door to door. So it's not just like 15-hour flight, but yeah, you have to count in all the waiting time I had to travel to Munich airport 2 hours. So yeah, that all adds up to like this whole ordeal of
Yeah.
traveling to Asia is easy. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah. So Gutenberg 20.3 also has not particular big features coming in, but some nice additions. And one of them is that the social links now offer a Discord logo that you can add to it. The query block now, that is really nice, has an option to ignore sticky post. It took a while to get the sticky post into the filter, but then there's also the need that sometimes you need a query loop that ignores the sticky post.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you're used to this when you're doing like classic themes and just like have all the opportunity with the WP query function. And it's great to see that these little things, and even if you do not use them that often, that these are still now available. That just makes transitioning to like block themes and block inside editor so much better because you finally have all the options. But maybe not all yet for the query loop, but we're getting there. Let's put it like that. We're getting there.
For sure, yeah. There was a major push in that, yeah. Do you want to take the next one?
Yet another one of like completing the options that you have on block is the RSS block got border and spacing support. And also like duotone settings got improved. They now have a reset button and improved toggle rendering. Let's have a look what this does.
Yeah, the reset button has gotten quite the attention now that it was missing on a few of those color pickers or so, or panels. So what did you find out?
Yeah. So I think it's also these are such tiny changes, but once you have them, you realize it's so much easier to clear colors or remove something that you would have needed like another 4 clicks or something, and then it's just one. So it doesn't seem like big things, but it slowly improves over time. And I think this is what the editors actually need right now, like this refinement. Because there's always been in the past pushing big projects, new features, and now it's more like, okay, we are in this situation, but the best we can do is basically to do the housekeeping and
Yeah,
fix
and
these smaller things and polish it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for the user very important to have a consistent interface. Yeah, so if you put a background color in and you have a reset button, why don't you have a reset button on the shadows? Yeah, so shadow panel. Or why can't I have a reset button on the text color, for instance, if it was missing? So yeah, it's definitely, you kind of take that cognitive load, you lower that quite a bit by having a consistent interface. Also, yeah, with the border and spacing support, if the block doesn't have it and all of a sudden it doesn't match what you want, then you go looking for things. And the spacer block is not always the best solution for things. It's not a bad solution, but it's not the best, because once a panel gets or a block gets spacing support, now you have to chase down all the spacer blocks to take them out. So it's kind of interesting.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the next one is there was a bug fix or maybe a revert on the quick inserter that it didn't search the patterns anymore when you put a search parameter in there, and that has been restored. So I think although that's a bug fix, or I think it's a bug fix, it's definitely worth pointing out. So a missing feature comes back. Yay.
Yeah, we just talked about it, having the same options on blogs like archives and categories got the color support. So you can now have select colors on the archives and category blocks. Yet another one of those, because then people try, if you do not have them, it's like, why do these blocks do not have? Why can I not change the color there? Then people go to CSS and then it's not needed actually if these settings would just be provided right from the start. But yeah, it's like a living project. So here we are.
Yeah, or what I always did when I didn't have color support, I put it in a group block, and then of course it blows up the nesting of my blocks. Yeah, so there are always ways around it, but once things then come into the editor, you need to kind of think about how your workaround needs to be worked around. So I think those were the few things that I wanted to point out. Did you see anything else that you wanted to point out?
No, I don't think so. But I've been just scrolling through it. It's been a good chunk of bug fixes, some accessibility improvements, some performance improvements, code quality tools. Yeah.
All right, that brings us to Gutenberg 20.4, which is also the last Gutenberg release for which the enhancements made it into 6.8. Yeah, after that, it's all bug fixes that go into the release. And any new enhancements coming into Gutenberg will be reserved for the next release. What is it? 6.9. We don't know yet when that's going to be. But so what's in there? There is a conditional enable the new default rendering mode for pages. I highlighted that, and I heard from quite a few people that they like that there is a default rendering mode for pages, but I have not seen yet the use case for it. So why are people so excited about it? But yeah.
That's a very good question. You already had this like show template that's already in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. Why it's so hyped? Maybe I need to test it out. That's probably the problem. I haven't gotten to looking at the latest releases like on an actual site yet because WordCamp Asia, being sick, being busy at work, life happens. I only heard like this week things were a bit off and template parts were actually missing from if you had 6.8 beta 1 running. So there have been some hiccups there.
Yeah.
As well.
Definitely need to track that down. Yeah. So now there's a persistent. So you could have a show template preferences, but now they are also stored, which is pretty cool. There was a time where you started with a new page and first you saw all the patterns that are labeled for new pages, page layouts.
Yep.
And that modal was removed and now it's back. So it's a 50-50 thing, what people want and what don't want when they use that. So it's also an interesting development.
Yeah, I mean the problem with the modal, I mean it wasn't removed. There was an option because I worked on this part as well. It got an option to be disabled in the settings when you're on a site where you have to add new pages over and over again, and you know what you want to put on a page. You do not need this modal popping up every time. So it was more of a user enhancement so that you can decide, okay, do I need this modal every time or do I just turn it off? So there was that part. I'm not aware if it's back yet. I heard people saying to remove it completely. But yeah, there's a lot of different use cases how you would like to. Some people want the modal always to be on because they don't know what they are doing, basically. So they just want to pop on a template or a pattern there and are good to go. And there are people who would like to just start writing first. There are people who maybe want to use it but don't want to be bothered all the time. It's one of these things where like a lot of different use cases clash together. And then it's just so hard to actually find what is it, where is the
middle ground,
what's the thing, where's the middle ground that we can go and implement it that way so kind of everyone or the majority of people is okay with it. There will always be people who I don't like this, I want it to be different.
Right.
But that's basically impossible to make it happen for everyone.
Right, yeah. Another problem was when you kind of say, oh, I don't want the starter modal, it was hard to get the layouts if you wanted to get to patterns and get the layouts because there was no category for that. So you had to assemble them from a list of patterns or from multiple pattern categories to put those page layouts together. And I don't know if it's here or it was in an earlier version where they restored or created a category for patterns for the starter content. So I think that was part of that. Oh, how can we do that better for our users? Yeah, so there is now a pop over on the left-hand side to show post template. If there is one to give you additional options, I think there. The next thing is that pull quote finally has the assignment styles. That was kind of missing for a long time, that you couldn't do left, right, and all that, or wide. Yeah. So it has it now. It's all about the persistency, and border control got the reset button.
Yeah, it's again these tiny things that make or
Yeah,
break something
right.
or your experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And post comments count also have received border support. That's cool. Yeah, so now you can have it stand out some more. Post formats have still be a little bit of a hit and
Oh.
miss with the block themes, but sometimes somebody kind of says, okay, well, let's fix that, some of the things. And now you see title and description for post formats in your templates. So in the template, a list of templates, you can now see which are the templates for your image formats, for your link format, and if they are templates for that. So that's really cool. Yeah, and there's an interesting bug fix that kind of drove me nuts for a while, was that the text and color picker were overlapping each other in the format library. And that is fixed. Thank God. Thank you so much. And then there are some documents updates. There's always the problem that a lot of features come in and the documentation hasn't been updated. So that has been rectified for the block variations using get underscore block underscore type underscore variation block. And then also removes the nodes for block hooks, that it only supports static theme elements, because that's not true anymore. Block hooks also support dynamic blocks. All
Yeah,
right.
nice.
Yeah. So that was that for 20.4. That was just released this week. And we are recording this on March 7th, just to say that. So what's in active development and discussed brings us to WordPress 6.8 in beta has been released. Beta 1 has been released, and you can follow along on the WordPress.org announcements or news. So there will be beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, and release candidate 1, 2, and 3 before the final release on April 15th. So the test team has published for the last few releases, always a help test the next release. And this one is not different. There's help test WordPress 6.8, and it helps, well, you can help making this release the best that it can be, finding all the bugs, not all of it, but report them, find try to break it as often as you can, report the bugs. And I have found another incentive on actually heeding to the call for testing is to learn more about the new features, because the instructions are very well done, compliments to Group Danada, to learn more about the new features or the enhancements and how are they supposed to work, so you can distinguish them. So is it me that I don't know how this works, that I don't get it, or is that a bug? So they went to great lengths to do that. You can also use Playground to test things. You don't have to spin up a new WordPress staging site or something like that to test things. So yeah, you can go to make.wordpress.org/test to find the post, or you look for the show notes on the Gutenberg Times and click on that link. So Jessica, the WordPress 6.8 is characterized as a polished release. Is there anything that stands out for you coming to 6.8 that you're excited about?
Actually, it's the polishing that I think is, I mean, given, as I said before, given the situation that we are in, I think this is the best that we can do. And yeah, I've been just scrolling through the call for testing blog post that you just mentioned, and it is really thoroughly. So I would actually be excited to like dive into this and do the testing, because like this is pretty well done. And I think about 6.8 and the coming releases So I haven't been paying too much attention to what like is in 6.8, apart from like a few things that we highlighted today, and I have probably forgotten again because I was just out
Yeah.
of the office for 2 weeks. I think what's also interesting is this speculative loading thing. I think there was also just a blog post
Yes.
these days. So this speculative loading is, when I understood correctly, something like a browser, like the browser offers this API, and WordPress has added like performance improvements. The performance team will probably come after me if I do not say this correctly, but from what I understood, it's improving overall performance of a WordPress website by using these speculation rules. So it's about what can be prefetched or what makes sense to be prefetched next, so that when you actually click on a link on the website, it loads faster because it already knows what the browser has to load in this case. So I think this is something very interesting that might be bumping up the performance of a few websites. So that will be interesting to see what the actual impact will be once 6.8 is out.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. I think the browsers are now pretty well caught up with it. So not all browsers have all the features all the time, but this is something that I think has a big footprint around all the browsers, being Firefox, Safari, Google Chrome. I link in the show notes to Felix Arntz has worked on this feature and the feature plugin before, and now it's coming to 6.8, and the Dev Note has been published now.
I just checked on Can I Use, and it's actually Safari and Firefox do not support it at the moment. Chrome, Edge, and Opera do. So there is still a bit of it's not 100% on all browsers, but a good chunk of browsers already support this. So I hope these other browsers, Safari and Firefox, will catch up on this, because it sounds pretty promising from a performance point of view, to use these speculation rules.
I keep scrolling through the dev notes that have been published. They are not in bulk coming out until release candidate 1, but John Blackburn also published the dev notes about the new encryption for the password hashing.
Yes, I forgot this
which
one. Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of things for users to do, or even for developers. It's just to know that the passwords are now hashed differently and increase the security of any of the passwords quite exponentially, which is really good. So thank you for Felix and John to publish the dev notes early for that. All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to talk about WordPress 6.8 some more on our next show, when we know a little bit more what's in there and what's not in there. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being here. As always, the show notes will be published on gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. This is episode 115. And if you have questions and suggestions, just send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. And now a plea for all those who use Shopify for their podcast pleasure. You can leave comments there and also check some of the stars, so people know what they can expect on the show when they discover that on Spotify. Shopify. Well, yeah. So thanks for listening, and goodbye until the next time. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.